Bienvenidos, Fright fans. Welcome to the horror show here at Phoenix Comic Fest. I still have to catch myself every time that I'm saying it differently now. Not a big fan of the name change, but I am here with none other than Mr Creepypasta. How has your weekend been, man?
Oh, it's been like a really great weekend. Like all the panels we've been doing have been fantastic.
Good response, I'm guessing.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's super fun because we've been doing game shows. That's just one of the new things we've been bringing to conventions. But they're all horror-themed game shows. They're really funny. They still have really spooky themes and everything. So it's been a great con.
I always love horror with like an essence of humor to it.
Oh,
I think
same.
it's kind of like a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down kind of approach.
No, that's the whole channel is like horror with a comedy theme. That was Tales from the Crypt was one of like the big things that brought me into that, man.
Oh, dude,
perfect.
you're speaking my language here, man. Yeah, all of the EC stuff was terrific. Now, so you have essentially kind of made a career out of, I guess, narrating. Did it start just with creepypasta stuff, or did you just kind of branch out later on, or how did it all work?
No, it was all creepypasta stuff. Like, for a while, I was trying to see if I could do other things, but I think horror was just really my niche. Like, I really like doing horror more than I do anything else, so creepypasta stuff was what it was from the very beginning. Years and years and years ago, like, the creepypasta website was getting sold. Everybody was afraid that it was going to be shut down as soon as it was sold. I turned it like some weird ad site, so now, like when I got started back then, it was like I just wanted to try to record everything, try to save all those things into like an audio format when they were written. It didn't get shut down, so now it's more about like promoting authors, promoting unpublished authors or smaller authors, self-published authors and stuff.
Yeah, and it's a good venue for those people who are unpublished and you know, to actually showcase their stuff, right?
Yeah, no, there's so many like writers I've seen like on No Sleep and things like that. Vincent Venicava, who's here with me right now. He actually
He's your writing partner from what he was telling me a little while ago?
Yeah, we wrote the Creepypasta comic book together.
Yeah.
He's in a lot of the other works. He has his own books out, but he's in my anthologies as well. But like they're all like posting drafts and building up their own careers and stuff like that. And what we can do with the channel is kind of get them in front of a lot more eyes than they would be just, you know, with a couple of hundred upvotes here, upvotes there. This way we get them like tens of thousands of people want to listen to and see their name and remember who they are.
Give them the proper attention like they deserve, obviously.
Yeah,
so, I mean, we are big horror comic book fans here at the Horror Show, so tell us a little bit about the comic, man. Is it anthology or is it...
It's going to be. Right now there's 2 stories that are in it, so I suppose that is an anthology.
There you go.
But the horror comic book is something that we had worked on. We had kickstarted it a few years back. We had everything out to the Kickstarters, but it took us a while to figure out how we can get it distributed through Amazon and everything. So now this is out on Amazon. Everybody's able to pick it up. This is actually like a huge creepypasta community project. Like,
oh wow,
yeah, they didn't really have hands out on it that were outside of the community. So I'm Mr. Creepypasta, obviously. Vincent has been writing creepypasta stories for years as well on Reddit No Sleep, on creepypasta.com, and we co-wrote this comic together. The artist who did the cover on it, the framing device, he also writes creepypasta stories. He wrote Hobo Hard, the artist who does the interior artwork and everything, which, I mean, if you want to take a look at this thing, man. Like,
yeah, I was going to say, it's a
super
eye-catching cover. So was it the same artist who did the internal work that did the cover, or separate people?
Well, a few of the internal works. Like this all the main stories and everything. This artist actually wrote Puppeteer, this is Bleeding Heart Works, and Chris Fulton, who did the framing device, which you should be able to see closer to the middle of here. There you go. You can see his work. He's wrote Hobo Hard, as well as he's been doing like comic book conventions like this for forever.
I'm digging this crazed blue-looking otherworldly creature, man.
Oh yeah, that's me. That's been the icon on my channel for forever.
Nice.
Is an accident, but it totally sticks with it.
Yeah.
Good. If you guys want to check out the comic, you're more than welcome to. I'd love to see what you guys feel about it.
Awesome. We would love to, man.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Tales from the Crypt already, but what was some other like childhood inspiration, perhaps, that really just drew you into horror, man?
Oh, slasher horrors were my thing, and they still very much are.
Is that your favorite subgenre? Or?
Definitely. No, I love really campy horror. When it comes down to doing stuff where we'll introduce a character for like 5 seconds just for them to be killed off. Those like teenager fodder kind of characters. I've always loved those in all my writing. You'll end up seeing those characters that'll appear. They're just there real quick, get killed off just so they can have a bloody death. Those were like some really big things. Jason Voorhees and Freddy Krueger were really big inspirations for like my writing and the things that I do. But I mean, campy horror is super great. I've been reading a lot of other things as well. I've been trying trying to get more into doing Stephen King stuff.
Which I was going to ask about, because you just put up Lori, the short story,
Yeah, I
right?
did,
Which I just read last week, man, and I actually really enjoyed it. It had a nice, soft moral core to it, and it had that little tinge of sadness that you see in a lot of King work.
And especially like towards the end, you do get like a nice little bit of horror element into it. It was very like
gator.
real world. Yeah, with a gator. It was real world kind of stuff, but it's still, you could feel a lot of horror to it because you really care about this guy. You really care about his dog. And
you were like waiting for something to happen, though, being a King story.
From the very beginning, I was like, hey, look, here's something he loves. I was like, oh, God.
When's it going to happen? When's it going to happen?
But I was, that one actually really does show off a human element so well in that story. And I was so shocked. He just was like, on his Instagram, he put out the story. He was like, hey, here's a story, a short story I wrote. You can print it out, share it, do whatever you want with it. I was like, what? Yeah. That's amazing. I can't wait. So that's why I had to have it up on my channel, because when I knew that it was Stephen King, everybody would love to see a Stephen King thing on the channel.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask. Like, how do you navigate some of those waters of, covering people's previously published works and things like that?
It's very touch and go.
I can imagine, man.
So, especially when I was doing like Stephen King, it had to be something he had already said, like everybody can use it.
It's got the free range.
Yeah, that was one thing. Like, there's a lot of things on like Creepypasta, the Wikia and things. You can see like there's licensing that allow for things like this, but it's always a thing about going through, making a connection with the author, and making sure like, like I enjoy your work. This is what I do. This is people that watch what I do, and see if they'd be interested in it. Because I don't want to step on any toes. I want to help people and not hurt people.
And that's a whole separate side of the work that you must have to do, man.
Of
all
course.
that reconnaissance and making contacts and things of that nature.
I want to also help support people I like and people I know that are good people. They have good work and good intentions and everything like that. So it's actually like it's a part of the job, but it's a fun part of the job because I'm meeting new people and making friends. Like when I started working with Vincent's stuff like years ago, like I didn't know who he was. He didn't know who I was, but I was like, this is what I can do, and he saw that it helped him out. And now he comes over to my house every once in a while. We hang out for my birthday. He was over there at my birthday last week, just going over to Las Vegas and let's just go have fun. So I mean, he's one of my best friends, and I met him just through doing this job. And there's people that I like to work with.
Awesome, mutual respect, man. That's what's up. So tell us a little bit about this right here.
That one right there is Vincent's book.
Okay.
Pastel Colored Dreams, Human Flavored Nightmares are some of the best stories he's done. It's many of the stories I've done on my channel as well, and I think probably some of the best stories he's ever written. I'm like biased with some things. Like, we worked with people on the channel like Bruce Campbell and Lucy Lawless, Ted Raimi, and things like that. And they all did narrations and stuff on the channel. But there's some stories in there I'm like, there's only stories Bruce Campbell could have done because he wrote it for Bruce Campbell to do. But then there's some stories that are just so heartfelt. Like, they express his character so well. I always harp on the fight when I say the fight is one of my favorite stories because it tells you about characters and it changes your perception throughout the story of who you think is the good guy, who you think is the bad guy. And
flipping the script a little bit.
Yeah,
Nice.
It really kind of messes with me. And there's very few times that I've done stories when I'm recording them, I'll kind of walk out, and I'll throw the mic over, walk out of the room, and where my wife's at, and I'm this is a great story, it's brilliant, that was a brilliant story. But in this book, I think I've done that for probably 5 different stories that he's written.
Oh, wow.
And I don't think I've done that with any of the other authors I've worked with. Maybe 1 or 2 I've been it's brilliant. But 5 of the different stories I'm pretty sure that Vincent's done, I've done that with, and all of them are in that book. And they're really good stories. This is supposed to be a collection of the ones he thinks are the best and the ones that have the best response.
Righteous, man. Well, so I have to ask then, is the primary passion now trying to create yourself, or is it still pretty well divided with covering other people's works?
Yeah, I mean, I've written some stuff myself, and I do enjoy writing whenever I get a chance to. But I think the main focus that I have is I want to promote other authors and things like that. I mean, I have other passions that I'll do. I paint and I make board games and stuff like that. It's fun for me to do that one for the most part. And working with the audio, acting, that's, I think, more interesting to me than actually writing it. But the focus of the channel is going to be towards helping either unpublished or self-published authors.
Nice. Yeah. Very, very selfless and honorable pursuits there, good sir.
I appreciate that. Look, I mean, it's so. I try to be selfless. However, this is still my job.
Degree.
It's my job. So I want to be selfless, but I want to be able to use what I have to be able to help.
Now, so as somebody who lives under a rock and isn't super familiar with your channel,
Oh, you should be.
well, I know, and I'm going to get
check us out.
well versed now, which is what's the proper thing to do. But so, is it just straight narration, or do you factor in like sound effects and make it like more of an audio drama kind of style?
I do. It depends on the kind of story, what I feel works best with it. Sometimes we'll go with an audio book kind of format. Sometimes we go with audio drama. Really, one of the things that really kind of sparked me whenever doing audio goes, as far as audio goes, is old radio shows from the 1930s.
Oh, I love those, man. And even in the 90s, they had the resurgence. I was listening to the like Star Wars audio drama with sound effects and multiple voice actors and all kinds of stuff like that.
I've heard some of those. I mean, even still, when they do audiobooks, they did the audiobook for, what was it, World War Z, I think, that had Mark Hamill in it. And they went as far as like a audio drama as they could go with that. That was a fantastic one. But like that's exactly the kind of thing that I like to do with my audio. Wherever it feels appropriate or where it feels like I can have a nice scare, I can't have sound effects to make things eerie. But there's always music in the background. There's always ambience and stings and things like that.
You took the words right out of my mouth. I was like, set the mood, man.
Oh, of course. No, there's this musician I met years and years and years ago. I think it was the first year I had ever done this, and I broke the rules a little bit because I didn't know the rules back then. I met him on YouTube. His name's Muji. Muji is in Germany. He's a really great guy, and like I was looking for piano music, and like he did these Silent Hill piano covers, and I was really bad, and I was like, oh, cool, I'll just go ahead and take that. I'll use it in one of these narrations. Yeah, I'll swipe it, and like I could have gotten a lot of trouble, but he's a really cool guy, and he was like, hey, I see you're using it. That's cool. I was like, okay, thank you so much. And
Thankfully, he was supportive of what you were doing, right?
We became really good friends, and like now I know what I'm not supposed to do now. But we became really good friends. Now he's like going all over Europe playing the piano and composing music for movies and things like that. He's a huge guy, and like he flew down for my wedding. He actually played. Yeah, he played the piano at my wedding because he's a great fan. I invited my wedding, but he played piano there, and it's super emotional. I cannot thank the guy enough because he always keeps going off like like I built up his channel. I'm like, no, man. You don't understand. You built up my channel. Without you, there's no atmosphere. There's absolutely nothing, and it's boring as hell just having a guy talk with like nothing around it. Mm-hmm. So, it's honestly like the channel, and like I think it's all YouTube channels are always like and you guys know this. It's a building a lot on relationships that you make with like other channels. Truly, man. Yeah. So it's a great adventure.
Awesome. Well, dude, it's been an adventure sitting down and getting some insight about your process, man. Enlightening. And yes, Mr. Creepypasta on YouTube. You guys are probably already subscribed if you're watching this video. I'm going to go do that same thing right now. So once again, grande gracias, brother. Thanks for taking the time to sit down and give us a little insight to your process.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. And thanks for having me on the show.
Oh, this is great, dude. And until we hit you with more coverage here at Phoenix Comic Fest, stay scared.